Maverick Currency Traders. This is Rob Reinhold. It is May 22nd, 2024. Let's jump into the day. In this session, we're going to be going over what happened. We're going to take a look at the currency markets. We'll take a look at commodities. And then we always like to take a fresh eye at things and score everything from a +3 to a -3 based on its relative strength. And then we take the strongest currencies, pair them against the weakest currencies, and those are the trades we're going to be watching for the next 24 hours.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
All right, let's take a look at the actual numbers for today and some of the news. The first bit of news we got was UK inflation came out much higher than expected. That lifted the pound up a little bit. The market was a really weird day today to where it was very, very flat during the US session. And then at 2 p.m. Eastern time when the FOMC minutes came out, the market sold off pretty hard. And we went from being, flat or up a little bit to down about 0.6, 0.7%. And then we bounced back a little bit into the close. So the market was a little down today, but we did get NVIDIA's earnings report after the bell, and it was a good earnings report, and the stock is trading above $1,000 a share. And we have the futures up around 0.3, 0.4%, which means that if you take a look at where we closed in the after hours, it was actually a positive day. So overall, it was a pretty flat day, but more positive than anything. If we take a look at the returns here in currencies, you can see the yen was weak and the Aussie was weak. The Aussie is one that's been strong. It had some weakness overnight. We'll have to wait and see what happens to it. But I talked about how I did like the Kiwi a little bit better than the Aussie going forward. And then we have the pound. The pound was helped by that CPI report. So we'll take a look at all these currencies, but I still like the pound on the long side. I think you can play the Kiwi on the long side. My big question is, can you still play the Aussie dollar on the long side? That is my question, and we're going to take a look at those charts. As far as the equity markets go, we had a slightly down day, so down 1/3%, world index down 0.5%. Crypto, gold, and oil, the commodities were really weak today across the board. If we take a look at the cryptos, you can see that of all the cryptos, Bitcoin held in the best. We continue to like Bitcoin the best. We'll take a look at that chart as well. Taking a look at our scoring system, our question is the S&P above the 20-day moving average? The answer is yes. Is it above the 50? The answer is yes. Is the 20 and 50 lines sloping higher? The answer is yes. This is a +3 market. And if you take a look at this, this is a really, really nice high base pattern. We had a big run, and then now look at this. This is a very tight high base pattern. I call this a high and tight base. These are even more powerful than regular bases. We typically see a nice breakout to the upside, and guess what? Typically they last 5 candles. It would not surprise me at all if tomorrow was a nice green breakout to the upside day where we close at new all-time highs. If we take a look at the calendar, you can see that we don't have a ton of stuff, at least on the US dollar tomorrow. We do have a little bit of manufacturing in the US, manufacturing in Europe, but that's about it. I don't think there's going to be any major news coming out over the next 24 hours. I actually think the NVIDIA news after the bell is the biggest news, and I think it's going to push markets around the world. I don't want to say substantially higher because we've already had a substantial run, but it's definitely going to add on to the gains we've had recently. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the currencies in play, and then we'll score them from +3 to -3. First currency I want to check out is the yen. We talked about how the yen was looking like a good short. We were talking about how the yen looked like a good short, but we're down into an area where we could get intervention. We talked about being short during the US session, but trying not to be short overnight. We then talked about how the dollar looked like a decent short, but you can see the dollar is having a bounce off of the bottom here. We have yet to see the strength of this bounce peter out. You can see we still have green candles. So for the time being, this dollar is moving higher. So we do not want to be short the US dollar. The yen looks better than that. But our favorite trade was the Swiss franc short. And you can see it is still looking great. We've got a nice 4-day low base here. We don't know how long it's going to last, but the next move should be lower here on the Swiss franc. That is still our favorite short out there. Euro was a currency that I had really liked over the last couple weeks, and it has just given me absolute garbage. Look at all these long lower and upper shadows. Whenever I see this, I say, you know what, this is not trending. This is literally just frustrating. Every trader out there that's trying to either buy breakouts or short breakdowns, they're all getting screwed. I don't want to be in that group, so I'm going to completely ignore Euro at this point. Coming over here to the pound. The pound is one that we do like. Take a look at these candles. These are good candles. You can trade these candles to the upside. The pound looks great. The Canadian dollar, it's not doing anything. You can see it's mostly basing, ready to go lower, but for the time being, it is going sideways. I'm also not interested in the CAD whatsoever. Next up is the Aussie dollar, and you can see we've had a pullback. We just made a new high. We had a big run. We're pulling back. Okay. That's totally normal. We could continue to pull back another day or two. But the big question I have in Forex is the Aussie buyable off this pullback? At this point, the answer is absolutely 100% yes. Does that mean it's going to bounce? No, we have no idea. But technical analysis says when you get a currency that makes a new high and pulls back, you want to be a buyer of that currency. So we do still like Aussie, but for right here, right now, the Aussie still has more momentum to the downside than the upside. We don't want to touch it until it's actually turned around. Which then leaves us with the Kiwi. Do we want to buy the Kiwi? And the answer is yeah. This is a really good chart pattern here. We do have some consolidation here. We've got this high base. Once we break out and clear this range, I think this looks like a good trade. But for right here, right now, can I get the momentum I need right now? The answer is no. The momentum is just not there at the moment. As you can see, I'm down here on a 1-hour chart. No, you can't buy this. This is not a good tradable pattern. That leaves us with really the pound to the upside. I also want to check in on Bitcoin. I've been saying that Bitcoin has been my favorite trade in the crypto space. And we had a nice little breakout of this base. And you can see we broke out, we ran, and now we're getting this pullback. Same thing here. I like this. I think you can buy it. But can you buy it right now? No, you can't. The momentum is to the downside. All of the short-term momentum is going to be working against you. We don't like to buy things as they're going down. We like to buy them when they're going up. So let this come down. Let this turn around. It's okay if you're late. You don't have to get the bottom because guess what? You'll never get the bottom. And if you try to get bottoms, you're always going to be catching falling knives. And you can imagine that that's going to give you some cuts. So just let it bottom out. Let it pull back. At some point, it'll be ready to buy, but it is not here. Here is our velocity score. And remember, we only like to trade things that are trending, meaning that they're either a +3, +2, or a -2 and -3. We can really just isolate the strongest currency right now is the pound. The weakest is the Swiss franc. We can go ahead and ignore Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin. And Aussie, we don't want to short Aussie because the longer term chart on Aussie says this is just a pullback. So it's really simple what this comes down to. There are only really 2 trades even available if you're taking a look at relative strength, and that is pound Swiss franc and Kiwi Swiss franc. So let's take a look at those 2 crosses, and then that's really going to be it that I'm looking at for the next 24 hours. First up is pound Swiss franc. Just a beautiful, beautiful high base here on a shorter term chart. But look, this is a longer term chart. These are the candles we want. These candles are telling you, okay, this is trending. Is it going to last forever? Of course not. But is it going right now? It is. It's all just about timing at this point. Where is the timing? Here is a 4-hour chart. We just made a substantial run. We're starting to get a red candle here. This is what I'm waiting for. I want to see either a pullback. We could pull back maybe to this 115.80 area. That would be a great area to start to look at. So maybe even if it gets down below 116, that'd be a great place. But my guess is we're going to get more of a base like we got back here. So I think we're going to be based, which means that this isn't going anywhere right here, right now. We're probably going to have to wait until tomorrow for this thing to break out. If we're looking for a place to set an alert, I think you set an alert here at 116.50. 116.50, and that is your place to say, okay, we're breaking out to the upside. Look, this has just had a run. If we do get a breakout, I think it's going to be I don't want to call it a false breakout, but where it tries to break out and then just doesn't have any power behind it. The way you want to trade those is take a third of a position, a half a position. It allows you to sit through that, okay, we broke out, we didn't really go anywhere, and then it hangs out a bit. You're very comfortable in a third position or half position. You're not going to get stopped out. And then when it breaks out again, you can add another half, tighten up your stop. As you can see here, this is a way to manage these trades that look great and you just aren't too sure about the timing of the entry. This is where taking a fourth of a position, a third of a position, getting into it. So if it does take off and run, you're in some of it, and then you can always add more to the trade later. But like I said, right here, right now, we are getting a red candle here on a 4-hour chart, which means, we're basically topping out here. We got to wait for this to develop a little bit more. Let's go ahead and take a look at Kiwi Swiss franc. All right, Kiwi Swiss franc, let me go to a daily chart. We're high basing here. We've got 4 candles in a high base. Looks okay. We just went up, made a new high. We're pulling back. This is potentially an area that you would look for with technical analysis is saying, hey, this should hold. And you can see we already held. We pierced down below it and recovered back really quick. Look, if this holds this 55.75 area, and we can put in a green candle that closes, and what I mean by that is this is a 4-hour chart. That means I need a 4-hour period where there was more buyers than sellers. I don't have that yet. It's all red. If I get a green candle and then the next candle, I could absolutely buy that. Again, I don't know where that price is going to be, but maybe 55.85, 55.90. But as you can see here, red is telling you the momentum is still against you. Just be patient. If it breaks this level, then I think you've got to come down here and look at the 55.50 area. That's going to be the next level. You say, okay, we could come back to that point, and that's going to be where I'm going to look for the same pattern, looking for that bounce off of that. With the NVIDIA earnings and the markets trading up after hours, I don't see any reason why our risk-on move continues. So we want to be playing risk-on. We want to be playing Kiwi. We want to be playing the pound right now. And again, that Aussie. I do think that Aussie is buyable off of this pullback. How long this pullback lasts, I don't know, but I am going to be watching it. My favorite short is still Swiss franc. Still the Swiss franc, absolutely number 1. If I've got to choose number 2, CAD and Yen both look like they're shortable as well. So focus on the relative strength and weakness as always. Happy trading, everyone. Goodbye.